masters.
Good day to you, partner. I'm Guy, and I can already tell that I'll be your best friend in this forsaken camp.
Hey guys, Wheat Solo here, aka the Skeleton King. So my gear is a lot better, so first let's shout out who's responsible for the big gear drop I got. That is Hex, a guy who's known enough, so for some reason Knife Wrench knew he was quitting. I mean, I only hang out in Necro chat, so I really don't know anything else about the community, really. I know, like, a cute couple other people who duel in LLD, like that idiot Cranky Gnome, and I've ran into a few other people. But anyways, I just meme in Necro chat most of the time. So my Poison Necro got a lot better, and you can also see I'm putting on full trangs. So when he dropped this gear, and I got a +1 trang chest, I was kind of at this point where I'm like, well, my Venom Ward is -14, and I have 3 orts in it. Why am I putting 3 orts in a piece of armor when I could just put on a trang chest with +1 skill, put on a trang helm, get a shit ton of res, and also get 4 skills total. So I lose 2 from the Steel Shade because I have to drop that. By the way, I still haven't respect, so my stats are wonky as all shit, but whatever, it's fine. Like, T2s and T1s are so easy now. So the nice thing is I get this full trang bonus, right? So I get the +4 skills. I got an Annie from him. I got a few better large chimes, and I got 1 more skill ring. So what's crazy is even though I lose, technically I do more damage even though my gear is less optimal, right? Like, I could go back to Steel Shade and Venom Ward, probably do a bit more damage, but there was one big issue. First, let's talk about these screens. Here's an example of the enemy spawns being totally whack. And I don't know, I don't feel like enemy spawns were ever this off in the old days. So I know Senpai was working on making map mobs more even. To me, it seems like map mob spawns have never been worse. But I don't know what the end objective is, and I'm also a very small sample size. But that's not even the worst. Like, that was what, like 3 screens worth of crushers? That was really funny. I desecrated because, crushers stun, right? And they have a lot of health, and there was champ packs with concentrate. And, like, I hate desecrate, but I look at that screen, I literally had the time to go, I'm just gonna desecrate. I'm not gonna stomp into that. Like, I have Thorned Hulks, it probably would have been fine, but I don't know. Wheat softcore summoner. Okay, that's my specialty. So anyways, I think it's always been worse. Hopefully they change it soon, or maybe I just get really unlucky. I don't know. We'll find out. So the trangs. So why did I really decide to go full trangs if it really isn't that big of a deal? Because I'll do more damage with the old gear. It really wasn't about the res. It was about the FCR, because I got another skill ring. And skill rings are pretty good, right? Especially a Wisp, okay? It's an SOJ. You get mana, you get damage, you get plus skills. That's all really nice. But I lost my 10 FCR ring. And I was already complaining about how awkward it was playing Poison Necro with the 30 FCR breakpoint. Well, playing it at 18 was like literally not an option for me. So what's the nice thing about trangs? Well, with full trangs, you actually get a bunch of FCR. You also get some PDR. You get all the plus skills. I have a +1 trang chest, which means I still get some damage from that. But the other cool part is you get a whole bunch of other random mods. Like, I never worry about mana anymore, and it's just because of, like, the full trangs set bonus, which, like, please, just because you're watching this video, I'm gonna make full trangs Poison Necro. Like, this is just for budget, guys. Full trangs is absolute crap, and it's absolute crap for almost everything in the game. Like, it's a trap of sets. Now, you could argue all sets are traps in PD2, And that's basically true. I think there are a few exceptions where you could make an argument to run a class set for a specific situation. I do not believe Trangs ever meets that. Now, would you maybe go full Trangs for a declone kill? Yes. Would you go full Trangs at the end of the season for a declone kill? No. And when we're talking about budget, sets are always more viable options. And then I guess you could say Trangs is a pretty good budget set. I won't argue that. But please do not look at this and go, "Oh, I'm gonna make full Trangs poison," because it's just worse. Like Bramble is 50% poison damage. Like you should just, when I say 50% poison damage, you should say, "Oh, why isn't this shitty YouTube streamer running that piece of gear?" Exactly. There's a piece of gear out there that gives you 50% poison damage, a shit ton of FHR, and life after each kill, and max cold res. Like Bramble is not just about the poison damage, it's legitimately a great piece of armor for this build. Okay, so let's get back to that was a long thing. Well, because some guy told me he wanted me to showcase his gear, and he was like, "Oh, I run full Trangs poison Necro," and I'm like, I don't know if that's good. He said he was near BIS, which would be kind of cool, but it's like it's still not that cool. And I told him if he could get a sub 6 ROB with his full Trang poison Necro, I would love to show off his clear video and his gear, because that would be pretty cool. I mean, sub 6 ROB is nothing special for poison, but for a full Trang Necro to do it, especially this season with all the nerfs, that seemed pretty hype. So what are the other benefits? Well, I also get my Trang's chest, which I told you about I love. I get all of that blood warp. So now, as you can see, I don't have a cooldown to my blood warp. And having any cooldown to blood warp, although it's fine budget, it is not fine later on. I'm not sure all of the little interactions, but basically having any cooldown on an ability, even when you're not spamming it, can cause issues. For instance, if your blood warp cooldown is 2 seconds, you cannot cast any other cooldown related ability for 2 seconds, like Bone Armor, which is pretty good now. So there's just all these little things that happen with having to worry about a cooldown on a skill that just make it way, way worse. So I get the 48 FCR breakpoint, I get all these little bonuses, my gear is a little bit better, and then I have Gorm again. I told you I was switching back to Gorm, and he has a Shaco on, which you may think is weird. Well, that's because I switched back to Gorm before I got all of the gear from Hex. Thank you again. I'm going to be switching to his Summoner build soon. I'm going to change him a little bit, but I'm going to do 2 different Summoner builds in his honor for his gear, because he did give me some really good stuff, you know. +1 circlets, like, you can have a hard time finding those. A lot of people in chat are like, I have a 2+2 Shaco for my Summoner. It's like, it's not even +3, my man. And I know I've struggled just to find +4 summon ammies, +4 circlets with the player pool we have. So, like, all of that gear that you need, it's just so nice for someone to give it to you, because even if you can afford it, you might not be able to find it. I guess another plug for, if you have a sick piece of gear, do not let it rot in your inventory. You don't have to give it to me, but like give it to somebody who likes that class or likes that build and PvP, whatever. Like, don't let trophy items just rot. Now, if you're going to actually play when ladder's over, I get it, but it's just kind of sad to see some gear just disappear for forever. So Gorm, Shaco, I didn't have CTA, so he was casting battle orders, and then the Shaco, you know, makes it a little bit better. You might also think it's strange that I have a T-Mite on. It is. I put it on just because it seemed fun to me to have my Thorn Hulks with a Might Aura, but it does almost nothing. They're probably getting 30 damage each. Like, revives have no base damage, guys. I did it for fun. I'm going to put G-Bane back on. Laying of Hands is kind of interesting. I want to talk about that real quickly. It casts Holy Bolt, which I swear can heal him, and it definitely healed me at points. It's also just a pretty solid pair of gloves. Now, technically, it's for demons. I'm not really fighting demons too much in this map, but, like, it is a great option if you're going to be farming demon-centric areas. The Belt's a String of Ears. I'd like a Nos Coil. Don't have one yet. Dungos is a great option as well for budget. I'm using War Travelers. Is that better than Goblin Toes? I don't have a Gore Rider yet. I don't know. War Travelers has more stats, but Goblin Toes probably have to do a bit more damage. Not a big deal either way. And then Gavlapane's just solid. And that's it, guys. Skelly King out. GG.
Come play with us, Daddy.